I'm here to tell you that I think that there's a responsibility. As a guy who does this for a living, I am here to tell you that there's a responsibility. That when you're sharing a story, involved in a story, engaged in a story, you have to be engaged properly to the very best of your ability. So when Fox discusses whether or not they should have settled, the conversation starts from there. What is it that we said? What is it that we said? Is there anything wrong with what we said? I want to say for the record that if you were going to take a look at Dominion voting systems, if you were going to engage a conversation about how they work and maybe issues with their software, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I still don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. I discuss a million things a day. I do 6 hours of radio a day. I'm always having a conversation. I'm discussing all sorts of stuff. Rational people are. You are. Of course you are. So we're here talking about things. Do I have to think that anything I say about a company is somehow a reason for defamation? I'm in Indianapolis. I talk about the Indianapolis Colts, and I question the maneuvers of the general manager, Chris Ballard. Defamation? I mean, that's going to be a huge conversation going forward. My gosh, exactly how many people are going to be able to claim defamation this, defamation that, defamation the other, defamation your mother? Everything's freaking defamation. That's going to happen. This clip from Joy Reid, somebody tell me how this isn't defamation. How is it possible that this was yesterday, by the way? This from Joy Reid, her discussion of this case. You tell me. I want you to hear it for yourself. You go to TonyKatz.locals.com. You'll be able to see it for yourself. You tell me how this isn't defamation.
It was easier than putting Tucker Carlson et al. On the stand, Tim. I mean, the reality is their business model is to continue to lie about democracy, to stoke hate, and even violent rage. I mean, we are seeing January 6th defendants say they were radicalized by Fox News. Mm-hmm. You're seeing them constantly touting Black Lives Matter as some evil entity. And then voila, you have people who think they ought to shoot Black Lives Matter people or shoot at them. You have young black man go to a door and someone who we don't know what he watches on TV, but, you know, it wouldn't shock me if he was watching a lot of black people or violent thugs, and if the one comes to my door, I'm going to kill him. So you combine a lot of guns and a lot of people who are literally being radicalized by a television network. There is no incentive for them to stop doing it, because if they don't do it, Newsmax is out there. OANN is out there. You saw just the threat of those networks rising cause them to dig deeper and to double down on the big lie.
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that isn't defamation. I don't know how that is. You just accused an entire network of trying to go out and murder black people. Wow. But I'm going to leave that to the lawyers. I'm going to leave that to others to figure out. But it seems to me that this case hasn't changed how people are going to engage. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to embolden them in how they engage. No fear from Joy Reid whatsoever. Should Fox have settled? That's the question. Should Fox have settled? And I think that you go with the experts here and you state, my gosh, was there any other option? And why didn't they settle months ago? Now, what you heard from the lead guy there at Dominion Voting leads to a couple unique questions. Let me play that again.
We're joined now by the CEO of Dominion Voting Systems, John Poulos. Thank you for coming in this morning. A lot of legal experts were surprised it took so long for this settlement to come about. What were the final sticking points?
Well, we weren't ready to settle until all of the facts that we had discovered had come to light in the public. That was something that we had committed to from the beginning. We had complete support with our partners and our...
They weren't going to settle until they could do the most amount of embarrassing of Fox. get as much out in the public as possible. This is an assumption on my part, but I think I'm onto something. Get as much out into the public as possible to be able to apply enough pressure to do enough damage. Get it done in the court of public opinion with such severity that they're going to say, my gosh, the last thing we want is a 6-week trial, and we're putting Tucker up there and Hannity up there and this one up there and Suzanne Scott, the CEO. We do not need this. We're already getting enough crap. Just write the check. Good strategy. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. Good strategy. It worked. It worked. I don't believe that anybody should take from this that it is wrong to talk about the news, that it's wrong to talk about what a company is doing. Question the election. I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning the 2020 election. I think you just got to do it with a bit of legitimacy. You got to do it with a bit of honesty. Not a bit of honesty, total honesty and legitimacy. You're allowed to say it. I've discussed the fact that if I had been in Congress on January 6th, there's absolutely no way that I'd be okay with certifying the election results of Pennsylvania. And the reason is because they did not follow the system. They allowed the judiciary to make the decision and not the legislative. Notice I'm not talking about, well, these votes are invalid or these votes are valid and this and that. No. I'm discussing the reality that the legislature is to prescribe how the election goes, the time and the how, not the judiciary, not the judicial branch. And they did in Pennsylvania. And for that reason, a constitutional reason, I would have knocked it all out. If you ask me if I have an issue with 2 men or 2 women spending their lives together, the answer is no. Not at all. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. I believe that if you want to set up systems by which people get certain tax benefits, you better open it up to all people who want to get those tax benefits. But I'm not in favor of Obergefell. I'm not in favor of the Obergefell decision because that creates a right out of whole cloth. Go change the law. Fine by me. And it was winning in the states, also fine by me. But don't ask the Supreme Court to create a right out of whole cloth, which is not what they do. They can't decide that a right exists in that regard. The Constitution says what it says and doesn't say what it doesn't say. But if you want to allow same-sex marriage, go about creating legislation that allows it. When I talk about Obergefell, for example, people are like, oh, you're opposed to same-sex marriage. Stop with your talking in your mouth and your face. You sound ridiculous. And you purposely sound ridiculous because you don't want to have the reasoned argument. You don't want to have the cogent conversation. You can talk about Dominion voting systems if you want to say, well, here's a country that doesn't use them, or here's an issue that I think exists. It's different than saying they went out there and rigged an election. Those are different conversations. And what's going to happen is that some people are going to state that you're not allowed to have this conversation. And those people are as wrong can be. You can have any conversation you want, and you should. One of the issues that comes from this settlement is a real question about how people who are content creators feel about free speech now. If you were to take everybody on talk radio, people like myself, take everybody who's on Rumble, because why in the bloody hell would you be on YouTube? Even though we do stream to YouTube because it's a tool and we're just using them. That's all there is. Aren't they now in a position where they're like, wait a second, well, I said this or I said that, and am I now going to get sued for defamation? Because this settlement really seems to me to be something that kind of jumpstarts that philosophy. That when in doubt, just sue for defamation. What's the worst that can happen? You end up with a couple bucks in your pocket? People who have the dollars and have the means, you can sue them and get a couple bucks. And people who don't have the dollars and don't have the means, you can sue them out of existence, like a SLAPP suit, SLAPP, a SLAPP suit, strategic lawsuit against public participation. That's what it stands for. And that happens, and it's done to get people to be silent. There's some real chilling crap that comes from this settlement. But the question before us was, should Fox have settled? And the answer is, there doesn't seem to be another move. There didn't seem to be another place for them to go. And the communications from within that got released, the communications about, I don't know if I believe this, or I didn't read every single communique. That's damning and damaging stuff. I mean, it is what it is. It's damaging and damning stuff. And so what it creates is more reason to say, my God, what have we got here? And you went about saying something that you didn't necessarily believe because you thought the audience would like it. Never do that. Never do that. No, trust me. I say enough things about Donald Trump. I get called a fascist and a squish all in the same sentence. It is special. It's fantastic. It's like if pick your favorite person on radio, like Dan Bongino. Good dude, good man, good dude. I don't always agree with him. He has said some things that I absolutely disagree with. He's gone after friends on air. I'm like, what are you doing? But if we were to discuss policy, right, we would have, I think we'd be pretty well aligned on the vast majority of policies. We'd have a much different way of engaging the conversation about getting there, right? How we go about doing that. Okay. You have a different way, a different style. That's fine. But you're as long as you as a content creator are saying something that comes from the soul, engaging the conversation honestly, and not saying, oh, people like it, they're gonna love it, because that, man, I think the people who are successful will tell you, I think that really that might like burn white hot, but it flames out super quick. Can't lie. Can't say, well, the audience likes it. Oh, they'll get mad at us if we don't do this. Honesty has to absolutely be the thing. It has to be the thing. Now, I've got much more to get to, so keep it right here. I'm Tony Katz. I will say, guys, that, especially when it comes to what we do on radio, like we're the most scrutinized people out there. Everybody knows we're the most scrutinized people out there. So when I bring up Dan, I mean, you could bring up anybody, Dennis Prager, or you could bring up Levin, or you can bring up Clay and Buck. You can bring up anybody. Everything we say on the local side, on a national side, doesn't matter who the host is totally getting scrutinized in every single way, every single day. So I think that maybe we're better at making sure we present well and bring all the data well. Did Fox screw the pooch? In many ways, Fox screwed the pooch. And did they have to settle? I don't think they had any other option but to settle. Do I think this changes the news that we get from Fox? No, I don't actually think it does. And that's extremely important, because I think that their news side is going to continue to grow, to evolve in this, to say, look, this happened over here, but we're providing the stories over here, and they're going to keep on doing it. I don't think this settlement is going to be for them the albatross that leads to their destruction. I just don't think that's the case. I think they're too big, and I think they're too strong. And I think on a news side, they're delivering stories that people like us may very well want to hear, or we actually do want to hear, and we do want to share, that don't come from another place. On this, it's very obvious they screwed it and engaged some things that they shouldn't have. And the only option was to settle. But if you think this means that they should fold up shop or they're not believable, CNN and MSNBC are believable? Did CNN cover the Hunter Biden laptop story or not? And can the New York Post sue CNN now for defamation for saying, well, we can't confirm this story? Oh, so you're calling us liars. Defamation suit. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Who knows how many of these things are going to come down the line? Holy crap. This can get really, really ugly. So yes, they had to settle. They had to get it out of their way. They have to move on. I'm going to take some hits for a while, and it'll always be this thing of, oh, look, you had to settle for defamation. And then people say CNN settled with Nicholas Sandmann, this kid, for defamation, and they'll say, yeah, but Fox settled for more, and Fox are threats against democracy, and blah, 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 blah. That was going to come anyway. Settling was the only choice, the only option that these people had. Guys, I appreciate you being here, and my thanks to Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org, economic liberty, free speech. That's what it's all about right there. Really do appreciate them and you. I will catch you guys soon.